Wow, what a hard lineup to follow, but thank you. All right, a couple questions. Trust me, this is not an audience participation talk. Apologize if that's what you were hoping for. But by a show of hands, how many of you think today that companies value people over profit? Okay. All right, another question. By a show of hands, how many of you think today that companies value profit over people? Ooh. All right. Well, you're not alone. Human well-being, morale, is at an all-time low in the workplace. Employers are asking more from their employees. Employees are asking more from their employers. There's this constant tug of war. Nothing is good enough. I want more, I want more, I want more. Well, here's the thing. We can change this. We can flip that script. We can shift the paradigm that profit over people is the way to go. I'm going to show you that investing in human well-being not only creates a greater sense of loyalty, trust, innovation, and long-term impact. This is done by 3 steps that I came up with. The first one is culture. The second one is developmental leadership. And the third one is training. But before we get into those 3, let me explain what led me here. I've been an executive in several different leadership roles where I've had the ability to observe firsthand that thought of profit over people doesn't work. It's the old school way of thinking, and it doesn't get what you think you want out of it. I remember being in meetings to where, for whatever reason, the company wasn't going to make its goal, that bottom line. And instead of thinking, okay, what can we do differently? What can we do better? Or how about we go and talk to our people who are on the front line, who engage with our customers, who engage with our clients, who really probably know firsthand what's not working. But instead, it was more of a order to say, listen, the only way we're going to meet this bottom line, this goal, is we have to move on from certain team members. Not a care in the world on who this person was, but it was just based upon salary. The fact that they were just a line item on a balance sheet, a cog in a wheel per se. And so the decision was made, let's cut, let's move on, and we'll meet. Well, the problem with that is, of course, it's not a people first mindset. But the real struggle I had with that was 1, I didn't speak up. And 2, I had to go and look these people in the eyes and let them know what was happening. The other issue is, these are people who actually have lives outside of your company. They may have a family, they may have a spouse, they may have children, but no one cared about that. They just treated them as that proverbial line item on a balance sheet. And so when I was looking these people in the eye, and I had to let them know that they're no longer associated with the company, I could sense that frustration. I could sense that sadness. I can sense that fear. And then to add to that, I couldn't really tell them why. But the problem was, it wasn't because of something they said, and it wasn't something that they did. I just had to let them know that effective today, you're no longer associated with this company. And I just remember leaving those meetings just feeling awful about myself, awful about the decision that was made, and even worse, that at that time, I wasn't courageous enough to speak up and say, wait a second, this isn't right. These are the people who put their blood, sweat, tears in the form of equity into this company to help us to where we are today, to help us grow. It just doesn't seem right. And I just remember that last time that I had to look someone in the eye and say that. I left there and I was like, there has to be a different way. There has to at least be a better way to do this. And that's when I knew at that time that I have to leave. I have to make some change. And so I left, and that's when I decided, all right, what is the best way to have a people-first mindset, a people-focused company? And so that's how I came up with the 3 steps. But to help us with the 3 steps and the explanation of it, we can look back to tribal leadership to kind of guide us along the way, to help us figure out what is the best way to implement this, what is the best way to execute this. And so for the first one, culture, we want to have a people-first mindset, a people-first culture. And we all know what tribes are. It's a group of people who share the same thoughts, speak the same language, and they have the same core values. They're energized together. We have in our social lives, it's that group of people that you can go to no matter what is happening, and you know that they have your back. You know that you can trust them. But that's the same in the business world. You have a group of people, your team. You have a group of people, the company. Why can't they be a group that you can go to and you can trust? Why can't these individuals, these people, be the tribe of the company to where you want them to feel energized? You want them to be able to trust one another. You want them to trust you. So you can apply that in the business world. How do we get to that people-first culture? Well, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Listen more. We want to do that active listening. It's what is going on your team? What is happening with your people? Ask questions. There's more to life, trust me. There's more to life outside of your company. When you get to know your people, you're developing that bond, you're getting that relationship, you're developing that trust and instilling in that sense of loyalty. You can also go back to our elementary days where we were told, treat others the way that you would like to be treated. It sounds so easy, it makes a lot of sense, but it's hard in the social life. It's even harder in the business life, especially when we have all that noise that is out there. We have that noise of that cutthroat competition to get that next promotion, that next role, to get that next sale, that next client, whatever the case may be, to even just be recognized, to feel that self-worth, that value. There's just so much of that noise. And then you have these companies, and you can just kind of insert, I'm sure you know them, but they'll tell you, oh, we got a great culture, and they'll write it on a fancy piece of paper. It says, our culture is so great. We do culture surveys, and they always come back perfect. Well, I find that very surprising because nothing is perfect. But are they really, truly anonymous surveys? Do your people feel comfortable and confident to know that they can voice their opinion without the fear of retribution? And then you have companies who say, oh, come work for us. We're fun. We have a pool table. We have a ping pong table. Some I've even heard say that we have a bounce house. Like, well, wait a second. Does that make any sense? So that'd be kind of cool to see some companies that have a bounce house. But the point is, that's just all cosmetic. What we really need to do is develop a culture that is actual. And it starts with us as leaders. It starts with me. It starts with being vulnerable. Right now, I'm sharing with you some of the things that I've learned by my mistakes, but not only my mistakes and what I've learned, but what am I going to do and what have I done to make that better? And that's how I came up with this 3-step process. To where when you're authentic, your people will value more. Your people will feel more loyal. They'll trust you. People who trust their leaders actually produce way more. Just take a second and think back. Hopefully there's at least one leader you've had in your lives to where you trusted them and you went above and beyond because of that leader. It may not be because of the company, but it was because of that leader. That's what we need to strive for. The second step is developmental leadership. Again, we can go back to tribal leadership, to where the 2 main tenets of tribal leadership was serving the collective and legacy. Serving the collective is just putting aside your ego for the good of the team, for the good of the company. That's hard for a lot of leaders, for a lot of executives. Trust me, unfortunately, I was in that situation where some of the times my ego got in the way. Not anymore. We want for the good of the team. The other part, legacy, and that's something that gets overlooked a lot. And that's identifying those individuals who either want to be leaders or who you think will be leaders that you can pass that torch to so they can continue moving the company forward with that people first mindset. And then the third one, lastly, is training. And that's just as important as well. But training out there, we have those leadership books. They're great. They're educational resources. They give us the what to do and kind of why we want to say it. But where they fall short on is how do we do this? How do you actually implement a lot of this leadership training? And so that's where this comes into play. So you have the what of the job, which is going to be those hard skills that you need. What is it that I need to do to be able to be successful in this role? But then there's the other component that I feel a lot of companies have missed, including myself at one time, and that's the why. Why is it that this company is doing this? So the last question I have for you, and you don't have to raise your hand on this one, don't worry, but just think for a second. Do you know why you do what you do at your work? It's a hard question. It took me a while to figure it out. Sometimes I'm still thinking, okay, is that the right way? Or what is my why? But that's important. Because why is it that we're here? Why is it that my company is doing whatever it is that they do? Then the next part that's going to be the what, and then the how, right? They all kind of support one another. We have the why supported by the what, then supported by the how. I'm not saying that profit is the enemy. But what I am saying is that if profit comes at the cost of our people, then we lose. Then we become unprofitable. Here's a thought for you. What if success was measured not by that bottom line, not by that terminology, gross profit, whatever that may be, right? It's such an ambiguous term. But what if success was measured by how well you treat your people? A famous quote that comes to my mind that I think really just takes us all into one big, pretty present here. And that's by Maya Angelou. And that is, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And I take that to heart. And one of the things that I try to teach my people is we're better together. And what does that mean as leaders? Today is not my best tomorrow, and tomorrow is not my best the next day. But together, we can learn from one another, and we can all be profitable. Thank you.